Hey there, I'm Amy Connell. Welcome to Graced Health, the podcast for women who want simple and grace-filled ways to take care of themselves and enjoy a little chocolate in the process. I'm a certified personal trainer and nutrition coach who wants you to know your eating, movement, and body don't have to be perfect. You just need to be able to do what you're called to do. If you are a longtime listener, you might be thinking, Amy, you're here for a solo episode and you did a solo episode last week. Where are the interviews? And you would be thinking, right, because you know my rhythm. Typically, I do what I call grace-filled solo episodes, kind of combining my education, passion for fitness, and my faith, and of course, grace, overlaying all of the food and movement and body image and all of that kind of stuff. But for this month, I am strictly doing solo episodes. Why? Well, quite simply because I knew I needed some flexibility in my time scheduling based off of some projects that I have, and it just seemed easier. A little peek behind the curtain, I don't really feel like either interview-based episodes or solo-based episodes are one is easier than the other or faster than the other, but the solo ones are definitely more convenient. I'm not relying on someone to schedule an interview in their time, and I can kind of work things in when I want to. And so I'm just here. I'm here again with a grace-filled solo episode, as I will be all month. And then, of course, at the beginning of February, we have got some jam-packed, fantastic interviews ready for you. Actually, they're not ready. I've interviewed them already, but I have not done the editing and all of the other back-end stuff that goes along with that. But today I wanted to come back somewhat as a part 2 to last week. If you were here last week or if you listened, you heard me talk about 5 questions to ask yourself as you plan your fitness for the new year. And admittedly, it was a little late because it came out on January 11th and it was probably 10 days late, but we might still be thinking about things. So make sure that you go back and listen to that if you haven't yet. Today is a follow-up to that. I want to share with you 5 ways to be kind to your future healthy self. Now, I don't know where this phrase was first coined, but I first heard it from one of my online communicating mentors named Kathy Lipp. If you have read Your Worthy Body and read the acknowledgement section, which I always love doing, by the way, but she's mentioned in there because I have been learning from her for many, many years, and she just has such a servant's heart in helping to raise strong communicators, whether it's writers, podcasters, whatever. So I'm borrowing this from Kathy, but it is definitely something that I think is important to remember. Even as we are planning, even as we are getting all of the things in all of our ducks in order, and we are writing things on our planner. As a side note, I have a new paper planner that I'm using. I'm kind of using it in conjunction with my calendar. So my calendar is online, and I'm going to talk some about my calendar here in a minute, but my planner is where I'm jotting notes, where I'm really making some specific goals, where I can see the to-do list that were done and got the check mark and gave me that really warm fuzzy, and then where I had to transfer it over to the next day. So far, it's working out well. Check back in a few months. Let's see if I still have the momentum on it. But regardless of what you're doing, I think it's also important to come up with some sort of insurance or a backup plan, if you will. And I would like to use the word health insurance, but not health insurance in the way that you may think of it. This is an insurance of, okay, if this goes wrong, then I have this to back me up and this to support me in this grace-filled journey of health that I am on. So today I want to share with you these 5 ways to be kind to your future healthy self. Number 1, what can you put in your calendar as a repeating event? Now, it depends. I know we all have different variations of calendars, but personally, I will use my Apple iCalendar for scheduling things. And then I have this new paper planner that I've been using for more of the day-to-day minutia. But what I do is I will take my calendar online and look at it. What is my training client's schedule? Like that's, my revenue. That's my job. So I've got to make sure I get those in. What are my church events? What are my children's schedules? As I'm recording this, I'm in the middle of basketball season for one kid. Another kid has band practice, like with his worship band, and track season is coming up. And so there are all these different moving parts that move and are somewhat fluid throughout each season, but they are still there almost all of the time. And then what I do is I start putting in my calendar different things that need to be done that are non-negotiable. And these are non-negotiable for me. You may have different ones, but things like workouts. When am I going to work out? And then I might even make some sort of note, because I'm a fitness geek, about what I'm going to do. Mondays right now, I am doing functional movements with a push, a pull, a hinge, and a core. And I can switch those up, but those are the types of things that I'm doing on Mondays. Tuesday, I'm doing HIIT training. Wednesdays, I walk with a friend. Thursdays, I'm doing another functional movement with more lower body stuff, transverse stuff. Fridays are kind of up for grabs. A lot of times I'll walk with a friend. Saturdays are HIIT. Oftentimes with my husband, we're doing sprints, we're running up the hill, and then Sundays are a day off. So that's kind of my general thing. And I will schedule that in the calendar. They may come at different times, and I put that in as a repeating event or a recurring event. So that is one thing that I'll put in. Another thing I put in is quiet time. I like to either read my Bible, do a devotional, do a study, something like that. And I need to make sure that I schedule that time in. And for the most part, this is something I get in, but it is also a reminder for me to prioritize that time. If you've read my book, it's funny. I have spoken with a few people recently who have read my book, and they've said, "No, I know you need to have your quiet time. So you can just take that if you need to." And I said it enough in the book, like, this is so important to me and my day is off. So I schedule in my quiet time. Right now, I am trying to write 500 words a day, not necessarily for a manuscript for a future book at this point, but trying to get caught up on some writing projects. So I schedule in writing time. And that, for me, the 500 words, because I Google Voice Type is like the very best tool ever for writers who will also speak. So I can get that done generally in at least in like 30 minutes. So I just need to schedule 30 minutes in. I schedule time in to shower. I don't have a traditional job where I get up, I work out, I come home, I shower, I get in the car, I go to work, I do my thing. So I'm often not showering until mid-morning, sometimes until the afternoon, but most of the time mid-morning. And if I will schedule that time in, then I'm not waiting until 3 p.m. when I'm in dried, sweaty workout clothes, which is just gross in a whole lot of different ways. I schedule in when I'm going to have lunch. Just like my quiet time, I will eat lunch no matter what. I don't miss meals. So don't worry. I don't have to remind myself to eat lunch, but I want to be realistic in how I'm scheduling my day and making sure that I'm not putting so much in there that I don't allow myself to eat lunch. And when I say don't allow, I mean that I don't allow time, and then I get pushed back and I'm mad because things didn't work well. I get a little irritated when things don't go as like I think they're going to. And then another thing I'll put in are habits. I've been trying to meditate more, and just little healthy habits, even if it's just 10 minutes, I'll put in there because I want to make sure that they get done. So that is the first thing. What can you put in your calendar as a repeating or a recurring event? Number 2, what is a pocket workout you can do in a pinch? Now, what's a pocket workout? If you've never heard it, that's because I made that term up, as far as I know, at least. But basically, this is something that you don't do every day, but you can rely on it when you just don't have the time or the energy to figure out how you want to move. Or maybe it's something you can do if your class at the gym gets canceled due to COVID, or if you're traveling, or just something gets messed up and you just need to move for a few minutes. And even if you don't want to make up a workout, have an easily accessible video of your favorite provider. Maybe just go through YouTube and find one. Or if you have Apple Fitness Plus or Peloton, I mean, there's a million different providers out there. Just have one that you're like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Ideally, I would say do like a full body functional strength training, something that's not just going to overtax, overwork one particular body part, but you're just going to get something full in. You're going to get to breathing hard. You're going to sweat a little bit. You're going to feel good. You're going to feel empowered, and you can go on about your day, but you don't need to think about it too much. Now, if you're the type of person who likes coming up with your own workouts, number one, shameless plug, remember I give you several in Your Worthy Body. So that can always be a backup. Number two, if you're listening here, you may not realize that I did 10 weeks of fitness classes 3 times a week. So I think I have about 30 classes on the videos section of my Graced Health page, not the Facebook, the community group, but the Graced Health page. And I have a client that if our session gets canceled, she'll go there and she'll do something like that. So just find something there and just know you can do it. But if you want to come up with your own workouts, I would really tap into those functional movements that I discussed in Your Worthy Body. So run through a series of push, hinge, pull, core, which that's what I do on Mondays right now. Maybe you could do 15 reps each of do an upright chest press, a single leg deadlift on each side, a band pull down, and a plank shoulder tap. So maybe do 15 reps of those, take 30 seconds in between, and you can either do like 15 reps, 30 seconds, do the same thing again, 3 times in a row, then move on to the next one, or take all 4 of those movements, run through them one time, just kind of back to back to back to back because you're using different muscles, and then repeat that anywhere 3, 4, 5, 6 times, whatever kind of time period that you are looking to do. You can also do simple movements that challenge your upper body, lower body, core, upper body, lower body, core. If you prefer HIIT, then do something like set a repeating timer for 30 seconds. If you need a timer, there's a wonderful app, it's free, called Interval Timer, and you can set custom times. And so just do one for like 30 seconds repeating, and then choose one movement, do it for 30 seconds, take a 30-second break, do it again, or do a different one for 30 seconds, take a 30-second break. And adjust as necessary, what's challenging for you. And I would say, again, go through 3 to 6 times and pick maybe just four higher intensity exercises. So maybe you do kettlebell swings, jump squats, plank jacks, and box jumps. And what I'm going to do is I will be demoing all of these over on the Graced Health community Facebook group, and the link is in the show notes. So if you want to see what I'm talking about, if you're not really sure what I mean by plank jacks or box jumps or something like that, and I'll show you some alternatives as well, then make sure that you head over to the Facebook group, the Graced Health community Facebook group. Okay, number 3. Being kind to your future self. What can you easily is the key word, make and prepare ahead of time? Let's be honest. Choosing the right food is often the hardest part of consistently making choices that will make us feel the best, or at least that is for me. When I work too long or my errands take longer than I think they will, if I walk into that kitchen hungry, I'm headed straight to the potato chips or the baked Cheetos or something else that's like crunchy and carby and will hit my blood sugar really quickly. The best way to circumvent that is to have meals, individually prepared meals that are prepared ahead of time. And these are not like fancy gourmet things. These are something that is just easily grabbable. You can heat it up, or even if you're going to go run errands, then take it out, let it thaw, room temperature, and it'll be easier to heat up when you're home. But so here's some ideas. And these are all things that, most of these are things that I do on a continual basis. These are not fancy, you guys. They're just not. But when I cook grilled chicken, and my family I'm going to talk about grilled chicken in the next episode, but my family really prefers chicken thighs rather than chicken breasts. So tune in next week and I'll talk more about that. But I will cook probably twice as much as we need. And then I will individually wrap up those thighs or those breasts. And then I have cooked chicken ready for me whenever I want that. I'll do the same with taco meat. I typically do ground turkey rather than ground beef just because it's gentler on my stomach. But I will take the taco meat, put them into like snack size Ziploc baggies, freeze them, and then, I'll have a bunch of them and then I'll freeze them in a quart size or a gallon size Ziploc freezer bag. And then I'll just reuse those bags, or, you can put them in a glass bag or a glass container if you prefer that. You can also do this if you are meatless. You can do this with black beans and lentils. That's a really great one to do, but just anything that you can thaw out, easily do. And that taco meat, you can throw it on a baked potato. You can throw it in any kind of a tortilla that you have. If you're gluten-free, Siete makes wonderful almond flour and chickpea flour based tortillas that I love. I think they're just delicious. So that's again, easily prepared meal. Another thing you can do is prepare a large batch of your favorite soup. We are in soup season, and sometimes it is cold enough to eat here in Houston, and sometimes it is not. But freeze those in individual containers. You can get some BPA-free ones on Amazon. I will link to those, and I will do that. Again, sometimes I will make a double batch of soup and then freeze the extra ones in individual portions, and then ta-da! Lunch is ready. And I can easily send something with my husband when he goes into the office. So that's another way, again, just super easily make and prepare ahead of time. If you want some more ideas, go listen to season 2, episode 1 with Stephanie Hilberry. She shares some unique strategy for batching meal components. I love her philosophy on that. That was a long time ago, but it's still very relevant. And then I would say, don't forget about breakfast. Creating, in my opinion, grab and go meals for breakfast is a huge game changer. My kids don't go with their grab and go, like they will grab it and then they'll sit at the table or at the kitchen counter or the island counter and eat it. But they don't have to think about it. And so that's just one thing that's really important to me, is to get some quality food in them before they go off to school. Now, 2 things for that. One, if you like to peruse through recipes, go grab yourself a copy of Rise and Run by Elise Kopecky and Shalane Flanagan. I will link to this in the show notes, but these have a million different high quality, real food, healthy, grab and go type meals particularly for athletes. They are both runners and created this series. This is the 3rd in their series with athletes in mind. You do not have to be an athlete to have it for sure, but they are just high quality foods and I highly, highly recommend it. The other thing you could do is go listen to season 2, episode 3, where I talk with Roberta Anding, who's a sports dietitian, about fueling your teen athlete. And as a supplement to that, I created a download for simple make ahead breakfast ideas. Many of them are grab and go. Many of them just take 5 minutes to throw together. But that's another thing that you can do to easily make and prepare ahead of time. Just doing that a little bit ahead of time will really make those lunches, dinners, and breakfasts go more smoothly. Number 4, and this sounds similar, but it's a little different. What can you easily and quickly pull together? So I'm not talking about the things that you've already made. I'm talking about you got to pull something together in about 5 minutes. Here is something that Pinterest doesn't tell you. Not every meal has to be mind-blowing. It doesn't have to be perfectly balanced, and it doesn't have to look that pretty. I take pictures of what I eat often and put it on Instagram just for hey, this is what I'm eating. And maybe this will look interesting to you or inspire you to do something that, where make it work for you. And number 1, I'm a terrible food photographer. That is just not something I do. But number 2, it doesn't always look pretty, but it can taste really good. But I also believe that just about anything prepared in your own kitchen is a better alternative than something received through the window of your car. Not always, but often. So here are a few of my go-to, almost always available foods that I can throw together for a meal. These all have ingredients that I typically have unless I'm like desperately needing to go to the grocery store. One of them is fried eggs over toast. I will have Ezekiel bread, just the whole wheat, which I know that I typically don't eat a lot of gluten, but I don't know, for some reason, this one doesn't bother me. Like, a refined honey wheat bread, which is not wheat bread, but anyway. So I will have that. And then if I have some leafy greens like spinach or kale, I will saute that and put it on there. And then if I have some kimchi, that's a wonderful addition to that. And it is super flavorful, takes 5 minutes. Another thing I will have often as a snack is protein powder and almond milk, like just that. I love, love, love the Healthy Scoop brand. It's SKOOP. It is organic. It's plant-based. It's all just ingredients. I can read it and go, okay, I know what all of those are, which makes me really happy. And then if I have an extra 2 minutes, and I'm like, well, I want to kind of beef this up and add some more nutrition to it, I can add a banana, either again, another leafy green like spinach or kale. Sometimes I have frozen riced cauliflower, I'll throw that in. You can put some peanut butter in it, like whatever you like to do. But that will take an extra 2 minutes. And sometimes I have the 2 minutes and sometimes I don't. If I don't, I just want to use one of those shaker bottles with the little spirally, circly thing. I don't know what that's called in it. And I just shake it up and I drink it. And then for dinner, what I typically will go to, like if I just have to throw something together and I don't have a plan and I don't know what to have, I often have Banza pasta, which is a gluten-free pasta. It's made from chickpeas, lots of protein and fiber in it. So I'll cook that and then I will take whatever vegetables I have on hand and saute them. So this often for me includes zucchini, mushrooms, red peppers, again, spinach or kale. If you like onions or garlic, you can throw that in. So then just saute those up. When your Banza pasta is ready, drain the pasta, throw in the sauteed vegetables, throw in some EVOO and lemon and mix it all up, little salt if you want, or garlic salt, however you want to season it, and then put some cashews on it. There you go. There's dinner. It's wonderful. It's a hit every time that I make it for my husband and myself and one of my sons. My other son does not like pasta. I don't know what's wrong with him. But he doesn't like it. So I only make it on the days that he's not here. And the critical element about this, about being easily and quickly pulling something together, again, we're keeping in mind to be kind to your future self, is it utilizes the ingredients you typically have and you don't have to think about it. So when you're in a time crunch or you just don't have the mental capacity to figure something out, this is something you can rely on and feel good about. And as a bonus, it will make your body feel good as well. Then the fifth thing, which sounds a little strange, but I think it's important to remember too, if we're talking about being kind to your future healthy self, is what do you need to say no to? Sometimes we keep doing something simply because it's what we've always done. But there is a time and a season for everything. It may be that we need to say no to something to be kind to our future and current self. And in fact, as I am thinking about this question, I realize I have a few ongoing obligations that I just need to bite the bullet and say no to. And I'm going to feel bad because I am a people pleaser, but I also realize that I need to say no to this in order to help this person find someone that will do a better job at it, because I'm not doing a good job. Anyway, maybe it's time to reevaluate that race that you've done every year for the past 8 years, because that's just what you do now and it's tradition. But the fire and excitement about it has left, and now you just do it because it's tradition or because it's obligation. Or maybe it's that Facebook group that just sucks a lot of energy out and you really are not receiving a whole lot of value from it. Or maybe it is, scrolling through the socials. And I know that I'm getting a little outside of my health umbrella, but these are all the kinds of things that can impact the time that we have to take care of ourselves. Just, for the socials with regard to that, my little trick, again, I think I learned this from Kathy Lipp, is I set a timer. Like if I want to just get on and mindless scroll, fine. We all want to do that sometimes. We all want to zone out. I'll set a timer for either 5 or 10 minutes and just let myself scroll. But when the timer goes off, I click out of it. So I am doing exactly the same thing that I used to do with my children when we would go swimming. And I needed a way to get them out of the pool because they never wanted to get out until they were like melting down. And so I would say, okay, mommy's setting a timer for 3 minutes. And when the timer goes off, it's time for us to get out. And when the timer went off, no matter what we were doing, we would all get out. And that worked like a charm. It worked like a charm. It was so good. So I just treat myself like I treat my 2-year-old children, and it works out. It works like a charm. Okay. And then if you're like me, it might be that one thing you need to say no to is overscheduling or creating a really tight schedule of that beloved repeating calendar. So absolutely. And I know that this seems contradictory to the earlier point, but keep the events on there. However, allow for some white space. And so maybe you say no to an hour obligation, but you say yes to a 50-minute obligation or taking it down. And then when you have that time buffer, that 10 minutes or that 5 minutes, then when I know I'm going back and forth in, your first person and third person. So give me some grace with that. But when I have a time buffer, I'll just say that when I have that extra 5 or 10 minutes kind of broken in there, then when my repeating events go over, like maybe my prayer time goes a little long, my walk goes a little long, or my child, all of a sudden an unexpected conversation pops up and I wasn't planning on it and wasn't scheduled into my calendar, then that doesn't negatively impact the rest of the day because I do have some wiggle room. So it might be that we need to say no to a particular amount of time or to something that's always on the calendar in order to be kind to our future healthy self. This does not mean being kind to our future self does not mean we have to have all of our ducks in order all of the time and execute everything perfectly. You know that I am not about that, but it means we have a backup plan. It means we have our own version of health insurance. Okay, let's do a quick recap of the 5 ways to be kind to your future self. Number 1, what can you put in your calendar as a repeating or a recurring event? Number 2, what is a pocket workout you can do in a pinch? Number 3, what can you easily make and prepare ahead of time? Number 4, what can you easily and quickly pull together? And number 5, what do you need to say no to? And I'm just going to put my foot down and say the one thing that I don't want you to say no to is giving yourself grace, which I realize is super cheesy and corny thing to say, but I have to say it anyway because we always need a little more grace. In each episode, I try to give you one simple thing to remember, which I admit seems somewhat superfluous in today's episode because I have just been talking about being kind to your future self. But I'll just reiterate that doing a few simple and intentional things now will take care of your future self when things go awry. You don't have to do all of these, but just things to think about as you think about your year. And speaking of the year ahead, one of my personal and professional goals is to grow this podcast, to get the message of grace out. And so if you could help me do that, I would be so grateful. You can do that by sharing this with a friend or on the socials, wherever you listen. You can do that by writing a review. The reviews where you actually type out the words are super helpful in validating the show, showing other people that you find value in them and that they might as well. So any of those that you can do, I have a link to easily leave a review. I know sometimes it can kind of get confusing in Apple especially, and it's a really easy way to just go click on the review or click on the link, leave a review, and it would just give me a little warm fuzzy. I'd appreciate it so much. Okay, that is all for today. Go out there and have a graced day.